Hello.
No.
I feel like we've got to kind of give a bit of backstory though about, as we're talking friendships first, we need to kind of go into us and what's going on.
Yep.
So,
Our friendship first.
oh, look at that fun. So we've known each other for 8 years? 9 years.
9, just gone 9.
Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so old. But yeah. We met at school.
Yep, I moved to Sussex in 2011, and so started the end of year 8 with you. Yeah, last term of year 8 with you. And I was made to sit next to you in ICT. My second lesson, the first lesson of the day, was dance, but they pulled me out to test out lifts in the school, and I got stuck in it for the whole of dance.
I didn't know this.
When I first joined your school, I had the tour and everything, and obviously being in the wheelchair, they pulled me out of lessons in the first day to just, get me used to using the lifts and getting around the school on my first day. Fine. And I got stuck in the lift whilst testing it out while everyone else was at dance. So we tried it out and we were meant to be in the dance. So, and the lift was right by the dance. So where it stopped and got stuck, we could see halfway through the door slit into the dance class we were meant to be in, and we were stuck in that the whole time.
Oh, that's so awkward.
So that was my first lesson.
I now completely understand why you came into ICT a little bit like, oh my god.
Yeah. So my second lesson was next to you in ICT.
Which I have to say it's not my best subject. So I was there for a good time. And so you came and sat next to me and I was just like, oh, hi, I'm Katrina. And you're like, hi, I'm Georgia. And I'm like, okay, then how long have you been here? You're new, aren't you? And you're like, yeah. And then I think I said a terrible joke, I think. I broke the ice, like, terribly. Like, really, really badly. And you kind of looked at me like, are you for real? And I kind of was like, oh, have I just made a really bad error? And you laughed. And I was like, she's laughed. It's fine. We're gonna get on great. If she's laughing at my bad jokes, we'll be fine. And here we are 9 years later.
Yeah. I just found it funny because you say you were there for a good time, but all of you got to do your ICT GCSEs over the first 3 years of school, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you were technically doing your ICT GCSE, but I was a late starter, so I didn't get to do it. So I was literally there for a good time. None of what I did mattered.
I forgot.
You, on the other hand.
And we created a beautiful advert the year later in year 9, which I think really cemented our friendship there because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I still had a clip because I would have inserted it right at this minute, but...
I'm very grateful we don't. So, yeah.
But... Why don't you give a rundown of what was this advert, Katrina? As you were the voiceover / narrator.
So I can't even remember why we had to do an advert, but I
think it was just a Christmas project.
So we did, Georgia knew this song, which I'd never heard of, ever, until I'd met Georgia, called Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
I really struggled to say that without singing it. And so we decided we'd do like an insurance claim number around this song and we'd be able to use it and be like, right, if you've been in an accident like this is what you can do. And there was a number you could call. And I had a line where I had to introduce this number and I'd like point to it and be like, so here is the number. Except I had to say a certain word afterwards, which I still feel a bit uncomfortable saying, but I'll give it a go. I've like really dragged this out now. Please call the number below. But I kind of forgot how to say the word below and said another word and just said below. And year 9 humour was thinking that sounded hilarious. So, yeah, that was pretty traumatic.
I other than the fact that day is so clear, I don't really know how we even... Because I from what I remember, we had that class together for the first time and then suddenly we're like really close. I just don't get the bit.
Yeah, I remember the first time we met and then just kind of we were really got on really well at school. And yeah, we've kept it up throughout the years. We've been through a lot, so it kind of like links into the friendship first thing and like how friendships evolve and grow. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I can't believe it's been that long.
We've had the whole of our teenage years together, haven't we? Year 9 is 13.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. That's a long. I didn't even think of it like that. That's so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my days. Yeah. So we went to school together, and then we obviously went to different unis, and now we're back both living in Sussex, not far away from each other now, which is really nice actually. The last year has been great because we've just been able to go out and do loads of nice things. Not at the moment.
Not the last 3 months.
Because quarantine, isolation, corona. So yeah, that's not been as great, but we'll see each other soon. Hopefully, maybe this year. Who knows?
There are lots of good qualities that you should have in a friend. Like, I don't think there's just one that, like, if you have the one best quality, then you do have a good friend. I think you need to have an accumulation.
It's a combination.
Yeah. If you don't have an accumulation of a few good qualities, then even if you have one amazing quality, then you're still not going to have the best friendship.
Because even if you had something like if we just took dedication, for example, someone could be really dedicated, but if you've got no similar interests or no shared mutual understanding of each other, it's kind of creepy. Stalkers can be described as dedicated, for goodness sake.
I didn't even think of that way.
Yeah,
so terrifying. Don't be that dedicated to people.
Yeah, don't be the weird dedicated.
Don't be that guy. What other good qualities would you say there are that are like essential?
Okay, I think to be honest and open.
We've got that down now, don't we?
Yeah, we have it like nailed to a T. But like just to be open to be who you are as a person, so you're not having to be fake in front of this other person, but also to be open and honest with each other. So if you've got like an awkward or an uncomfortable thing to say, you want to talk it out, to actually kind of have that space to have the dialogue. Like we've had a couple of like honest and open conversations, but it's because we've been able to have those open and honest conversations that we're really good friends.
It doesn't feel uncomfortable. If anything, I quite like the fact that we are so honest. So, for example, the last couple that we've had where you've brought up something with me, I've brought something up with you, and we've written like mini novels to each other. I quite like it because it's kind of funny of like, Katrina, I have something I want to bring up with you, and it's this.
Please read.
It's funnier because that's the sort of thing that, you know, we have an issue and it's more of a light-hearted, I'm going to have a discussion with you. Whereas if you don't get it out in like one big discussion, and actually you're simmering on it, and it's just not going to be healthy.
It's not worth it. And I think we've known each other so long, but we also know each other's signals and also trigger points as well. So there might be some things where it's like, okay, I've overstepped a mark. I know there's certain times where I've been like, I'm just going to stop talking now before I make this any worse, and I'll pick this back up. It's nice to be able to know that I could just say how I was feeling and that be, I think, also listened to. We're able to have these open and honest conversations because we both listen to each other and we take on board what the other person is saying. It's not like, okay, I've heard you, but it's like active listening, which for me is a massive quality in someone that I look for. Because if I've said something to someone and they haven't listened, I'm like, but I said it though. But now what? Now what we're gonna do? I'm all for people taking the space they need, because sometimes if I'm like a bit down or like just actually don't want to talk to anyone, I just need to shut myself off for a bit, and then I'll come back and I'm cool. But I'd be able to be like, yeah, sorry, I was having an off day. I just needed some space. And taking space for yourself is perfectly fine. But shutting someone out and then not communicating any of it or explaining yourself or just expecting someone else to be okay with that, that's where it's like really grey, and I'm like, that's not cool.
That's probably one thing I appreciate about you the most is like, I mean, it's only really happened I think once or twice where you've said, I'm not in the mood to talk to anybody. I'm just like, even like we've had plans before and you've said, no, I'm not, can't bothered. And you just said it black and white, and I'm like, great, cool. Worry about it. But you've told me, so I know it's not me.
But it's nice to know that I could say that and not have to make up an excuse. because certain things, and especially when you don't know someone so well, it's a cop out to be like, oh, I can't come because my train's delayed or I feel sick. But like, you should be able to say, actually, nah, not feeling it, I'm good, sorry. So
Yeah. I mean, in a way, the fact that we're in isolation right now encourages people to not have excuses to make. Like, they just got to be honest with people.
what was another one, the quality of a friendship that you'd really like to see in someone?
Understanding is very important. And not in just the generic, oh, you got to be understanding, but like genuinely understanding. I know personally, from my point of view, with the mental health side of things, to have friends that understand that I will have breakdowns and be paranoid about certain things, to have friends that know that I have these moments of self-destruction, shall we say.
Yeah.
To have them understand that is very important. And I mean, not just for someone that has a mental health problem, but just generally to anyone have that level of understanding can make it so much easier for, as you say, to like say, I need a minute.
It's a
Don't
level of understanding combined with the lack of judgment. It's
Yeah,
just like, it's not like, oh yeah, I understand, and then like 10 minutes later I'm like, what was that about? Like, god, that I don't like. It's respecting that person's as a person and understanding that's who they are, this is how they react to certain situations, and that's beyond like your control. Like, I could tell you I can tell you that or everything you would want to hear, but if you felt that was fake and I wasn't telling you the truth, then what good is that? I'd rather just sit here and be like, I hear you, I completely understand where you're
yeah,
coming from, talk it out, let me know how you're feeling, and then if you want to, we can talk about it properly. But actually, all you need from me is to understand you.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a really good one. I think understanding.
yeah. And I think
Um,
that one is actually quite overlooked quite a lot of the time.
mm,
For like you were saying with the whole um saying, oh, I understand, and then going back and saying, well, what was that about? Just having the understanding to let it go in a way
yeah,
is
I
very
think
much overlooked, because I think a lot of people think a good friend always checks up on you all the time, and like when you say, oh, I'm having a minute or I'm having a moment, it's, you know, the best friends are the ones that go, oh, talk to me about it, what's wrong? And sometimes you just don't need that, and you need to have the understanding of this moment will pass, let them have this moment.
yeah.
And then, you know, it's not necessarily, you're not always going to be a best friend just because you're checking up on everybody all the time. Like that's
And if anything, that's superficial.
mm,
Because like, if you constantly being like, okay, what's going on? What's this? What's that? What's this? And it's like that you need to be set boundaries as well. It's just like to really get that across. I think that level of understanding, as you get older and more mature and you have more experiences, that level of understanding about people, I hope, starts to like come through a bit more. Whereas I think at school, you almost haven't matured enough to be like, oh, I understand someone properly. And I think actually growing up is really hard because you can say all the, oh, I understand, I know this, I don't, but you don't have enough experience, especially I think when things go wrong. Um, and you kind of sometimes learn from those, oh God, I've really messed up here, that wasn't good, and then you have an actual level of understanding when someone says, I need space or whatever.
mm,
um, and I think that it does come, I think, with time. Some people, I think it takes a lot of time, and I think as you get older, you choose who you want to spend your time with. So having those qualities and to look out for how they respond to things is actually really important. Like,
mm.
I don't want to be around people who are a drain. I'll be honest. So
Yeah, literally. And I think half the problem that you said about school and not being mature enough, I think half the problem with school as well is the fact that there's a kind of, you feel kind of obligated to spend time with your friends all the time, because, you know, other people will wonder if you've had a fallout or
yeah, it's because it's that day in day out kind of friendships. It's
mm,
just like, actually you're put into a space where, and once school ended, it's really interesting to see how many friends from school
yeah,
you would say are close friends as well. Like that level of closeness. I
yeah,
feel if anything from school we've got closer. And I feel like a lot of people's experiences haven't been that. They might actually have like people they could count on their hands of people that are actually close to. They might know people from school. Like, I I know most people from school, but it doesn't mean I'm friends with them or I'm even close friends with them.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a really important distinction between like close friends, friends and acquaintances, because it's like actually there is a sliding scale. Like there's some friends that I have that I would go to for certain things, and then other friends I would be like, I'm not talking to them about that because that level of understanding might not be there about that certain topic or about that certain issue.
Yeah,
So
and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. If you have a best friend, you're the luckiest person in the world. But it's more realistic, especially with the different understandings and the different personality traits you pick in your friends. It's more realistic to have a variety of friends you go to for different things. So yeah, I just think that that's a bit unrealistic, really.
I think it also reflects for all different people. Like, imagine if you surrounded yourself with the same people, with the same qualities, the same experiences. How dull would that be? Like, you'd actually run out of things to talk about because you'd be. So I think this is where it's really interesting. You've got to have people who have like similar interests or things you can understand. Have that level where you can talk and communicate, but actually they've got to be different to you to a certain extent, because otherwise it'd be really boring and
We're
plain.
incredibly different, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too, actually. I think, and it's funny because we're really close. Like, I don't. If you put, I think sometimes when you put someone down on paper and it's like chalk and cheese, it's like I would say you're very creative. I have like, I'm not very creative at all. That's not one of my strong points. But also I think how we are in certain situations, how we'd react to certain things. I don't necessarily think we'd have the same reaction to some things,
For
but
sure.
actually, that because we don't have those same reactions all the time, we talk about it and we'll be like, oh, that's really interesting that you thought this or you saw it that way.
So when you went to college, your friendship group also went to college with you and stayed with you. Do you think, in a way, like, do you think you've changed more now that you're no longer friends with those people that you took into college from school?
It felt like a very natural progression point, and I know lots of school friendship groups that have remained intact. But I think there's like a whole variety of experiences of why things maybe didn't work out. And that's not a bad thing. That's just how it goes. But I think because we go through those experiences, like as a person, and like you said, we're impacted by our friendship group as well. So because when I was no longer friends with them, I was interacting with different and other people. That's changed me as well. And then when I went to uni, I met a whole other set of people. So I'd actually say the person I was at the end of school, the person I am now, as a person, I haven't changed much, I would say, but like the people I hang around with have. So I think that's really interesting, and that kind of growth there. I've taken some of the qualities I had at school and I've grown them, and there's other bits that I've just been like, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't like doing that. So
That's the beauty of a failed friendship, is it's never really failed because you just learn something from it.
yeah, for sure. I'm definitely one of those like, oh, I'd rather have love and lost than to not loved at all. I'm definitely more like, I had a great time, great experiences, and actually those have shaped me into the person who I am now.
I find it so interesting that it's a subconscious thing where we always say, it's nice to be yourself with your friends and whatever, but we are just naturally different people with different people. Like, I'd say, for example, going to my friends from the previous podcast, you, Leo, Alan, you three I can be myself with, but I'm different selves with you. Yeah,
I think but like we said earlier, it's going back to having those different friends for different things, and that's totally okay. And it's not
better than not.
it's not a hierarchy. I think that's like something that I try to preach. Be like, it doesn't matter. It's not what like that.
Yeah. And I think, again, back to the growing thing, I think we're both beyond the point of like a best friend now. Like, it is just we've appreciated that it's not really that normal as an adult to have like the best friend. Like,
or have like a single person to like pin everything on. I think like that's really important not to do that actually.
Yeah.
And I know that's something. It's funny. It's something my mum has like said for years. Like she's always said it. And then sometimes like you reach a level of understanding. You're like, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense. And she's been like that with everything, with like work, with money, with friendships, relationships. Like it's like just be careful and like
Mm.
it's interesting how with time and with your own experiences your level of understanding deepens,
Yeah.
because that meant something to me at 13, but it means something completely different now at 22. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, just be careful where you put your eggs. So
Yeah, I am so guilty of that, even up till the last few years, to be honest, last few months, where I have very much maintained well, it's good to have one best friend. And actually looking
yeah,
back, all the people I've had the major friendship issues with have been best friends. I gave them my best friend of the year awards
yeah,
all the time, and then
yeah,
they're the ones that let me down because it wasn't mutual.
mm,
Um, So, to
yeah,
pin that on someone, it can backfire because it leads you to be disappointed by them. If
yeah,
things break down with them, then you've lost everything.
yeah.
And
And it's
it,
important to remember your own self-worth in this. Like it's not, they aren't everything. But because you've pinned everything to it, it feels like it, but it's like they aren't
yeah,
everything. I'm equally as valid in this friendship and this relationship, and that
yeah,
if that's how I've been treated, there's a level of like reflection where you've got to do and be like, okay, what have I done? But it's also like how well is this deserved? Like some things, it's like you can't control the actions of other people.
yeah.
Sometimes that's just how it goes, and it's like it is what it is.
Equality is so important. I had a friend actually in school that said to me that he was adamant he was going to become my friend because he could see I was struggling.
Mm.
And that just, in a way, he only told me this like years later when we were friends. Otherwise, then I would have shut it down. But that just made me feel like absolute crap to know that
Yeah,
his intention was to be my friend so that I had a friend, and so because
a
he saw
pity
that I was
friend.
struggling. Hmm?
A pity friend.
Yeah, a pity friend, and it just made me feel absolute crap. It didn't make me feel like absolute crap insofar as, oh, I don't want to be your friend anymore, but it was just,
Yeah.
I was just wary of like, oh, so we're not equal, because he didn't do it to be superior, but I felt of like, oh, so you're now superior to me because I'm the charity to you, sort of
Mm.
thing. But like, as I said, it didn't last because we are friends. We do talk now and again, but he's not. I'd say it's more of an acquaintance now than a friendship because I'm no longer struggling.
I
Um,
think yeah,
do you know what I
yeah.
mean? You've got to have that equality of wanting to just be but each other's friends
Mm.
with no other, agenda to it. Because then
Yeah, and I
that's
think
where
that
you go,
comes with time and age as well. Because at school, everyone I think had an agenda, whether they were aware to it or not.
for
I
sure.
I I find it very hard to believe to say that nobody had an agenda at school. Like it's interesting at school, we weren't as close as we are now.
For sure.
And I think that's because there's different agendas at play. There's just different stuff going on. Um,
We don't have time for four agendas in our friendship. Like, we're friends because
as
we
adults, as adults, you just cut people out. You're like, I don't have the time. I don't want to waste my time with people who actually aren't interested in me. They
Mm,
don't want to know about how things are getting on and stuff. And some people you can be really good friends with, you don't have to talk to every single day.
yeah.
And there's other friends where you're like, actually, I check in regularly, and then it's interesting to see how those friendships develop, because you can have different levels of friendship like that. Would you say, with the current situation of COVID-19, that how have you found keeping your friendships up? Um, have you found it difficult? Have anything changed? What's it been like?
A bit of both, really. With my regular friends, the ones
Yeah,
I keep in contact all the time, you, Alan, Leo,
yeah,
Tom. That's been harder because it's not the same routine of how I spend time with you all the time.
I
So,
can't
like,
come around for dinner.
yeah, exactly. You don't come
Unbelievable.
around. Yeah, my mum even said about Leo the other day not coming and sleeping in his bed in the spare room all the time. So in a way that's harder because the routine of seeing regular friends has been difficult. But in a way it's opened the door to talk to people from my past and old friends, not, as you say, like not necessarily with bad blood, but that have just fizzled out. And
Yeah.
the opportunity of like checking out what people are doing. For example, people post on social media what they're doing in lockdown, and you know, I know for me, I've seen a couple of people do certain things, and I've replied saying, "Oh, that's good. How have you done that?" Or "Oh, how that looks really good. How's things going?" And it's just kind of snowballed from there. So I've actually spoken to a couple more people that I wouldn't have done otherwise, and kind of rekindled. Not necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily friends anymore.
You're engaging with different people.
Yeah, exactly. It's rekindling old discussions rather than old friendships. So catching up and things, which has been actually so healthy.
I think also like going back to that comes back down to like this picture perfect movie effect of best friend, and it's like a be all end all, and it's one person, and actually you could have a best friend in like loads of different people, and that's nice.
Yeah,
and that's not spoken about enough. Like it's great to speak to so many people.
yeah.
So
I would say my dream definition of the best friend is the best friend for ... So the best friend for having a deep conversation, the best friend for spontaneously going to Disneyland, that sort of thing. Best friend is a preemptive title to something else. The best friend of ... And I think that's the way that I think more people should look at that sort of thing, me included, to see it from that point of view rather than just they're my best friend.
Friendship in quarantine, it's been a bit bittersweet. It's like, oh my god, it's been great that we've been able to find new ways to do things, like, and seeing people's effort into like a Zoom themed dress party or something stupid. It's been really fun, but then it's like a bit, it's bitter because you just can't hang out, you can't give someone a hug.
Yeah,
that sucks. So I think we said we have shared interests, but we're quite different as people. And I think that's something that would be really interesting to talk about and ask you guys about whether you think, if you think about the friends you've got around you, are they similar to you, or actually is it what's different that makes you attract to them? I think I've got a blend. I think there's certain people that I'm like, they are wild. Like I love having them in my life because they are scandalous, but we're not the same. We are just not the same.
I provide the fun, but we're not the same.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree that I have a nice mix at this point in my life.
Yeah.
The differences are there, but also a lot of similarities for sure.
I think it's the shared qualities that we have that makes us friends, but actually as personalities.
Yes, that's a good way to summarize.
Yeah, I think that is the best combination. That's the one that has worked out for me.
That's perfect. Yeah, definitely. If you've got to share the same qualities to value each other the same.
Yes.
But the personalities you bring can vary. Yes, that's definitely the way that it would be summed. Yeah.
I think that sums up today's discussion about friendship first and how important those friendships are.
Sure, and the importance of the fact that you share values to be able to value each other equally, but also have varying personalities. I think that is one of the best things I think that came up from today's discussion. So if you enjoyed it, obviously like, comment, subscribe, share, all of the cliche YouTube stuff, but make sure you join us as well for our next podcast we've got planned.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, and bye, Katrina.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to Georgia and Kat's Chit-Chat. On today's episode we're talking about friendships.
That's a really good look. Don't include that.
Outtake.
Yeah, outtake just like.
My friendship issue is I need to tell you things more before. So I'm very much the person of I did a stupid thing, Katrina, and then I come to you.
Involving me in the journey before it happens, not after it. And
I need to work on that for sure.
Thank you for watching Georgia and Kat's Chit-Chat. See you next time.